first listen to the 911 call for help as armed robbers barge into a local family's home.
Well, I need the police, please.
The new aerial video of the getaway that ended with a crash. Plus, what is your main concern about this bill?
It sends a message to children and to bullies that LGBTQ topics are shameful and taboo.
How some Southwest Floridians plan to fight the Don't Say Gay bill currently sailing through the legislature. And the secret to success.
I think it was because of the creativity of the people that are in our company.
How this local company's creative approach can work for your bottom line, too.
Live from Southwest Florida, you're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
Tonight, we have a first-hand account from a victim in yesterday's crime spree through Lehigh Acres. Thanks for being with us at 10 o'clock. I'm Patrick Nolan. Two young men now in custody. The Lee County Sheriff's Office has now released detailed reports that break down what happened minute by minute. Fox 4's Keenan Scott was on this story from the moment it broke yesterday. You saw it during our 6 o'clock news. And now walk us through what we learned today.
Well, Patrick, as I'm sure you can remember last night, we were still trying to wrap our heads around what exactly happened, and so was the sheriff's office. But after talking to the victims, the witnesses, and now the two men that are in custody, the Lee County Sheriff's Office gave us a more clear idea today of how this all played out. It all started at 28th Street Southwest and then ended on Gerald Avenue North, where deputies stopped the suspects with a pit maneuver. But a lot happened in those 8 miles in between.
New video from up above the high-speed chase through Lehigh Acres on Wednesday. Lee County Sheriff's deputies trying to stop these two men, Demetrius Beckworth and Willie Bell, who they say were in that silver Honda Accord. Their first stop, according to deputies, was at a home on 28th Street Southwest. I got to speak to the victim whose home was robbed, and he tells me that he did not want to be identified, but it was a scary experience for him.
I was sitting in the garage and 3 men arrived, and I didn't see where they came from.
His retelling of the incident matches Lee County police reports.
Pointing guns at me. They told me to give them money. They started searching me, my phone, my wallet, and they started looking there. Then when they made their way inside the house, inside was my brother's wife and 2 children.
He says he tried not to let the men inside the house, but when he resisted, the men hit him on the head with a pistol. He says that he feared for the safety of his family.
They went inside. They searched the living room, and that was it. They found nothing, and then they went out.
He says after the men were gone, he immediately called the police, which led them to being able to identify the suspect's vehicle, starting the pursuit that was captured on LCSO video in real time. After an attempted traffic stop, the suspects took off, hitting 2 vehicles in the process while heading southbound on Gunnery Road before tearing onto Gerald Avenue North and ending with the deputy's vehicle pitting them against some trees.
The sheriff's office says Beckworth was the driver of the car and that deputies were also able to locate a firearm lying on the ground next to the vehicle. We still don't have the name of that third suspect that the victim mentioned, but hope to know more in the coming days. Live in the studio, Keenan Scott, Fox 4.
Thank you, Keenan. That chopper's been busy lately. New at 10, we're tracking another chase that happened in Lee County involving deputies, and 2 men are in jail tonight in this case, accused of trying to get away from deputies in a stolen car. 18-year-old Daniel Zamata and 21-year-old Artavis Spivey were arrested this afternoon in a North Fort Myers neighborhood. You're looking at video of that chase that the sheriff's office released of it. Now, they say it started when the men committed a carjacking in Highlands County. It's about an hour's drive northeast of us. Then they drove that stolen car into Lee County, where deputies tried to stop them. They kept going, and that led to the chase. Again, they are under arrest tonight. Tonight, the so-called Don't Say Gay bill is one step closer to becoming law in Florida. A Republican-controlled committee in the State House of Representatives passed it earlier this evening after the language was changed from a ban on teachers making any mention of sexual orientation or gender identity to a ban on instruction that mentions these topics. The ban would apply to any teachers or staff who interact with kindergarten through 3rd graders in Florida's public schools. The GOP lawmakers pushing the bill say the topics should not be broached in the presence of young students when they're at school. But tonight, some Southwest Floridians say they not only disagree, they say it would limit free speech for everyone at school. Earlier tonight, a board member of Naples Pride told me how they plan to make their point in Naples tomorrow.
We're going to meet at the courthouse steps at 4:30 and walk in a petition that we have against the bill that has over 300 signatures, And after that, we'll be meeting at 5:30 at Cambier Park. And we'll be walking down Fifth Avenue and returning to Cambier to spread awareness against this bill.
The folks behind the bill, the sponsors, say this would just be for elementary school students, and these are conversations about gender identity, sexual orientation that should be left to families and not schools. What do you have to say to that?
This is going to prohibit all students by chilling speech. If a student wants to talk about the Pulse nightclub shooting, or perhaps there's going to be conversations about the AIDS epidemic in the classroom, a child wants to talk about their two moms being their hero, the Florida legislature would essentially be silencing these topics and teaching children that they're offensive and unmentionable and that being gay or trans is wrong. And those children will be forcibly silenced by the weight of the law.
So she also says this bill could also hurt teachers and even contribute to the teacher shortage we're seeing in Southwest Florida right now. You'll hear why coming up on our 11 o'clock news just a little bit later. Tonight, a Lee County student facing criminal charges accused of threatening students at his high school through text messages. Now, this happened back in October. The sheriff's office is reporting a student received several text messages from an unknown number, and the messages mentioned shooting several students, even raping one student. After months of investigating, it led to a 12-year-old boy who goes to that same school as the victims. The student's being charged with one count of sending a written or electronic threat of violence. You've got a little more time to enjoy the public facilities, including the pool and the beach on the river at the Cape Coral Yacht Club, thanks to a construction delay. Construction was set to begin on a big project there on April 1st, and the project is going to close that facility probably for a couple of years, so this is a big deal. But now that construction is delayed until the city gets all its necessary permits required for the project. The park's going to stay open until further notice. According to the city, we'll keep you updated on when they come up with a new date for closing it to the public to let that construction begin as it gets a makeover. Tonight, our team is working to get answers for some of these families still devastated by last month's string of tornadoes. They want to know what local help might be coming now that federal aid is off the table. Fox 4 was the first to confirm that FEMA denied the state's request for that help on Tuesday of this week. And tonight, our Colton Chavez is continuing to push for the next steps for those affected.
Families faced with disaster.
We'll be back to normal at some point, probably in 3 years.
1 month later, these families are looking to Lee County leaders after the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, said the destruction families are facing doesn't qualify for federal help.
Well, it's very disturbing.
For families in Iona, Lee County Commissioner Cecil Pendergrass is at the forefront of these questions after I've been working for several days to help families paint a clearer picture of recovery.
Mr. Pendergrass, so where were you that Sunday when the tornado first went through this area of Iona?
I was there that Sunday morning when that after occurred. You know, it was a Sunday morning, people wake up beautiful Florida. Didn't know you can wake up to a tornado, but I was there that morning. It was devastating damage to these 64 homes.
So while we were waiting for that response from FEMA, when that was still in the mix, did that change how Lee County helped families while we were waiting for their response?
No, we've been working with the residents, helping them through awareness, resources, how to get resources, and helping make contact with either insurance companies or other providers like Salvation Army. United Way has been out there since day one, and the Red Cross is out there also.
And for now, Commissioner Pendergrass says those are the resources that are still available as we wait for the state's appeal of FEMA's decision.
So while we're waiting for that appeal, it kind of feels like we're sort of in a waiting game right now for what other resources might be available for residents here in Iona.
And unfortunately, being private property, we can only do so much with county resources, but we can provide assistance by helping people get to the next point, which is recovery and rebuilding. So we're going to have people to help them get through the recovery process, but helping with permitting if needed, and also about getting resources back to them.
So are you satisfied so far with the accomplishments that Lee County has had when it comes to providing relief for these families in Iona up to this point?
From the county and state level, yes, I'm totally satisfied. It's unfortunate, like I said, people did not wake up on Sunday morning and expect this to happen, and we'll let the people know that this does occur to you. We will be there for you.
So you can find a link and the phone number and email for those county resources Commissioner Pendergrass mentioned when you click on Colton's story right now on Fox 4 Now. Plans to expand the Cape Coral Sports Complex are moving forward. City Council has now approved the purchase of some property right next to the park to make it bigger. The property sits right on Trafalgar Parkway. This is a 13-acre site on the west side of the Sports Boulevard entrance into that Cape Coral Sports Complex, which is heavily used almost every night of the week these days. If you own or work for a small business, you know what a handful it can be with just one business. Now imagine running 35 businesses in Southwest Florida at the same time. Meet the family that's managing not only just to do it and keep it afloat, but actually thrive despite the pandemic. How their successful formula may work for you too. Sworn to protect and serve, now accused of assaulting and killing a little girl in this neighborhood. A revelation about a Florida law enforcement officer nearly 40 years after the crime. Derek?
We tied a record high and at Page Field and broke it down in Naples, both 88 this afternoon. I'm going to let you know if we'll see any more record heat here into your Friday and weekend in your forecast coming up.